Well, hey, handy people. Dan here. Hey, I got the new SAF in the garage tonight just for a few minutes, and this is a nice car, but it's missing something. Oh, wait. Look at this. Let me show you how to put a spoiler on. Come on. So I have the older style brackets which have several pieces. So you put this H piece, which lines up like that, along the back side, and these bolts back here kind of hold it in place because they stick out the back a little bit. And that's sort of like a spacer. And you can see it. Okay, I got it to fit in there. It's right here on the back side, and what was fighting me was this little piece of plastic. I don't know if you can see it, but this little piece of plastic that's connected to this larger piece, I had to make sure it was out of the way because it was kind of fighting me to get that little plate on there. Now that the plate's on there, we get the other piece, which is I guess I'll call this the yoke. Now note, the yoke has two threaded holes over here and a hole here. So you want the three holes facing to the outside, okay? And that's important. So let's see if I can get the yoke on. And yeah, he's going right on. Again, I'm fighting that plastic piece a little bit. I don't know if you can see the plastic piece moving, but there. Now I've got it pretty much in position, and I got the backer piece on. Now I'm going to put in this long screw. And that's a T25 Torx. Make sure you leave this one just within a couple of threads. Just barely, because you're going to have to, there, it's just got a thread holding it. You're going to have to put the next piece on, which is the bracket that bolts to the spoiler. So let's get that on there next. Next, we use these little tiny T25 Torx that should come with the brackets. And I put them in there. I like to start them all finger tight, with my fingers to make sure they're threaded, and then so you don't get them cross-threaded, and then tighten them with a tool. There's one. There's two. Now our bracket is on and ready to accept the spoiler. Now on the spoiler, you'll see there's I'll take you over here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it in this light, but there's one screw already in, the top screw. And that's why, if you look at there, you'll see when that spoiler slides in there, it slots in kind of that slot, and then the bottom screw goes in and holds it, and you can snug both screws. Then once you get the positioning where you want it, then you can pull the tape. But let's get that other side done, and then we'll go after this. Okay, so I removed this large plastic piece that lays right here. And you'll notice that plastic hook on the bottom goes up and around. And to put this in, you have to kind of come down to this opening and kind of fidget it in because it's an L shape for holding. However, that L shape for holding ends up being in the way. This tab ends up being in the way of what we're trying to do on the back side here. So I'm going to trim that. I'm going to trim this here a little bit, and I'll show you what I do. Yeah, snipping that off, this thing still has integrity. There's two plastic pins that push in there and about there. And then there's this one torque screw that goes in that hole. And then if we look around the back side, you'll see that there's a lot more clearance at the back side of that plate. So now we should be able to put our brackets on. Now, using a long screwdriver, I reached up and I pried this cable. You gotta be real gentle because that's the cable that all your wiring runs through. And I pushed it just back, just slightly by coming in from the back side and getting my screwdriver in between it and this, the bracket. I was able to push it just slightly. And I don't know if you can see the tip of my screwdriver there. Let's see. Where are we? There we are. You can see the tip of my screwdriver. I'm flexing it. And I just pull it just ever so slightly towards me, which gives me enough room to put the bracket in. Now the bracket's in place when it's cleared of this, and that's where we have it. And we have a little up and down room we can play with. So I'm gonna put that. Next is the Torx loosely in here. That's this long guy. This long guy. Just get it started. And I think we're good. And then this bracket, which goes in like so. And then two little guys. Two of these little short guys. Finger tight on all of them. And then you see they're adjustable, obviously. If you could see that slide, and you'll see this bracket moves a little bit. Of course. So now my bracket will slide around for now. But once we get it all on there, once it's all on there, and I'm sorry I've got this light in the way, but maybe that's gonna be better. That bracket is, it's got some movement to it, but that's all right. Because once we get it where we want it, I'm gonna really tighten this one, and that'll really pinch it pretty good. And then I will tighten these two. We may have to move it up and down, we may have to move it a couple different ways, but that's our next step. So now we're gonna hang the spoiler. So I've got the spoiler on both brackets, and it's hooked just loosely with that with that first screw. So now I'm going to open the hatch because it's sitting just nicely on this glass. I'm going to open the hatch and I'm going to tighten things down, and then I'll do another dry fit. If everything looks like it's supposed to be, then my next step is tighten it, take the tape off, put the spoiler back on the brackets that are tight now, and close it up, and hopefully it'll be done. So I mounted the brackets. I got them. Once I got the spoiler where I wanted it, where it looked good, I tightened these three screws here so the bracket would be stable. So this screw, this screw, this screw get tightened. Then I made sure I loosened the top screw on the spoiler, but it was in there. The other screw was missing at that point. It wasn't in the spoiler, the bottom screw. And what my goal, let me just do this over. Okay, so looking at this, I just tightened the three screws. This one, this one, this one. So the bracket was firm. That's when I had the tape still with its covering on. And then I made sure that I could fit this screw, just slips into this yoke on the bracket. And I did that, and then I taped it. I took the tape coat, I did it on both sides. I snugged these down good. Once I got it positioned where I wanted it, then I added, I took the tape coating off, the red covering, and I ended up putting it on, pushing it on, hooking it to this top screw, and then locating the spoiler where it's supposed to be. Of course, the tape, once you put it on, you get, you're pretty much got to be right there. Then I put in this final screw, and then I tightened everything down. And the result will be a nice spoiler that won't move. That'll be here for as long as I want it to be. And then you go through and make sure everything's tight, as I've done twice now. And you can close it. And yeah, I kind of like the look of them with a spoiler. It's changes the look of the wagon. I think it gives it a lot more sporty look. Oh yeah, looking good. Nice first mod. Hey, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll keep these videos coming. Thank you.